Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator news and updates. Some pretty cool information coming out this week and some very exciting stuff to look forward to, so stick around. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future updates and future guides that will be coming down the road. Link to Patreon can be found in the description below. Okay, I am not one to normally announce scenery because it happens so fast and constantly evolving, and you just do a series all on its own. However, there's a couple every now and then that really do catch my attention, and this is definitely one of them. Airworthy Designs announces the island of St. Barth's scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Just recently, guys, I was doing an approach at St. Barth's, and I was complaining about the fact that the trees that are at the top of the hill shouldn't be there. Now, there is a very cool add-on that is found on FlightSim.2 that takes care of those trees. But seeing someone actually completely redo the entire scenery is actually a really awesome and exciting moment for me. It's one of my most favorite approaches. I'm probably the worst at it, but I still love doing it. I absolutely love that approach. It is extremely challenging. It's always one of those ones where on the rare occasion you feel like you kind of nailed it. It's just like, it's sort of like golf. Golf is one of the most frustrating sports on the planet, but it takes one good shot out of 100 to say, yes, I want to come back and do this again. So with the announcement here, we obviously don't have any kind of release point yet. However, I'm really excited about everything they are doing with it now. They're doing the entire model. They're doing the terminals. They're doing new animations, animated traffic, and as well as updating the airport to match the real world and some new features that were added to the airport very recently. So super excited for this one. This is another one that goes hand in hand with the Airworthy Designs Saint Martin Airport, which is another very fun approach as well. If you really like getting down low and scraping the top of that fence line, seeing how many people you can blow off the rails. That's always very exciting. So these two definitely do go hand in hand. I love that they have finally jumped on this particular scenery. I'm super excited for this one. Again, this is probably my most entertaining and fun approach. I absolutely love it. I love flying out in the Caribbean anyway, and then being able to come around. What I typically do is leave St. Martin, come back around, go to St. Barth's, sometimes do a touch and go and go back into St. Martin because they're both such fun approaches. Anyways, moving on, guys. No release date yet, but super exciting stuff. All right, if you are an owner of the British Aerospace Professional 146, or maybe someone who is on the fence about the aircraft, now is definitely a great time to think about purchasing it. It has gone through a very significant update. The update includes interactive checklists, top of descent calculators, improved Navigraph charts, as well as METARS information based on the SimBrief operational flight plan. So it actually sounds like it pulls the METAR information once you have uploaded the OFP, much like we see in the Flybywire A32NX. So very awesome. That is an extremely handy feature that I use religiously whenever I fly the A320. So to see it in another aircraft, definitely very cool information. Dynamic center of gravity chart, some reduced and flexible thrust calculator. I'm more excited for that than I am for the CG chart. It just adds a little bit more immersion and a little bit more realism when you can actually properly calculate, for example, the flex thrust that we find again in the A320, or for I can't think of what it's called. The 737, same thing, where we reduce the output. I'm having a brain fart right now, and I can't think of the words right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't say it. So we're moving on. Takeoff and landing distance calculators, again, cool. I don't use them probably near as much as I should, at least for the simulation purposes. But then again, I'm always flying to much larger airfields. I fly to places like, whenever I'm in the commercial jets, I'm flying to, Sky Harbor. I'm flying to LAX. I'm flying to Chicago, places that have very large runways. Even Tucson, Arizona, we are actually a very small airport in comparison to some other aircraft. And our airport's almost 11,000 feet long, and that's because it used to be part of a SAC, or Strategic Air Command, a long time ago. So they needed that big runway for the big bombers and cargo aircraft that used to come out of here. So one of the other biggest things that I do want to announce is with the latest update, better FPS. That's always a big hitter for everybody. Everyone's always looking for that maximization, optimization of the aircraft. And some flight model tweaks on top of that. The flight model tweaks for me, unless they were like game breaking, I haven't had a chance to fly the 146 yet. It is still absolutely on the to-do list between the move and everything that's been going on lately. And then of course the passing that we had in the family. There were so many things that have been pushed so far back that at the point that I finally get to record them, they're going to be old news, but we're still going to do it. But anyways, in those times, or in these times, we're always looking for the better performance and the flight model to be as accurate as possible. So there you guys go in black and white there, showing that the aircraft is being adjusted and consistently worked on. So super exciting news for anyone who's already an owner, and maybe that little push that you need on the edge for someone who's thinking about purchasing the aircraft. All right, an aircraft that is receiving quite a bit of controversy. Holy mercy, I was not expecting this. Carenado's Pilatus PC-12 released. I flew it a little bit a couple days ago here on the channel, so if you guys are interested, feel free to look at my videos. You'll find it. I think it was actually the previous video that we did. Maybe two back, because I think we did a Neo fly last night. Now, this aircraft goes for €24.99 on the marketplace. That is, I will honestly say, one of the most expensive products from Carenado that we have seen yet. It does have some issues. Not even going to kind of hide that. Ground power is not currently functioning. There isn't any way to turn the ground power on. And it sounds like the batteries. Some people are reporting a battery charge that just dwindles away as time goes on. So for example, on a very long flight, you could find yourself, towards the end of the flight or part of the way through the flight, losing electrical power. I'm not going to hide that. You guys know me. I'm always trying to be as honest as possible when it comes to my reviews and first impressions. I did not run into that. I ran into the ground power issue. Honestly, I thought it was where I was parked. I didn't realize it was something that everybody was experiencing going global. GTN 750XI. I do want to make clear, as somebody pointed out, I don't particularly care about this one. I don't normally use it for this. I use the 530 typically, but I do want to make this very clear because this is a very, very good point. GTN 750XI integration option. What this means, guys, is that you must purchase the GTN 750XI from the website showed here if you want to use it. I believe that is $50 approximately around that area. In order to purchase the 750XI. So it would be the cost of the aircraft plus the 750XI if you want to use the 750XI. This is an option. It is not required. Okay, so do you want to toss that out in case there's any confusion? People aren't anticipating that. Now, I'm going to give you guys real quick my general synopsis of the aircraft. In its current condition, obviously, being not holding on to electrical power, that's kind of an issue. That's actually a major issue. Let's call it what it is. And I think the next time we fly it, we're going to keep our eyes up on the overhead panel and see if the battery life is actually draining, because we could see that the amperage being used was absolutely changing. So hopefully the electrical system is modeled at a point where we'll actually be able to see the battery life drain. That's a big one. Carenado, you need to fix that. That's huge. As far as the ground power goes, again, as long as I have an ability to start the aircraft, that's not one that I'm going to throw a big hissy about. The batteries, I'm going to throw a big hissy about that one. The ground power, I could take it or leave it. But as far as, and that's only because in simulation we have the ability to, let's say you're running low on fuel, move it over, So you can cheat in simulation if you need to. I just feel like it's not game breaking. The battery is game breaking. But outside of that, I thoroughly enjoyed the aircraft. Now, I'm not a real world pilot. I know nothing about how the real flight model should be and how it should perform. I've never flown, a TBM or a PC-12 or anything else other than a 172 and a 182, and I think a Katana once. So I can't speak to that. But there are people who are reporting some issues with the flight model they find to be very unrealistic. I had a good time flying it. Could I tell right away that it wasn't the most advanced of flight models? Yes, I absolutely could tell that. It wasn't very rough and bouncy. You couldn't really tell that there was any kind of thermals or turbulence, right? It had a couple oddities, but nothing that I would say took me away from the enjoyment of flying the aircraft. I flew it a little bit yesterday morning. Unfortunately, I didn't find out until afterwards about the battery issue, and I only flew it from Tucson to Phoenix, and I loved it. So I just want to throw that out there, guys. It's really going to be one of those ones that you want to do your research on, watch the reviews on it, maybe find someone who's done some longer flights. I will be doing longer flights over the weekend in it and recording them, possibly doing a live stream so we can experience anything as it comes up. We'll see what happens there. But I personally have had a wonderful time with the aircraft, and I think it is a nice complement to the TBM 930, especially if they fix the electrical power. I will once again reemphasize the electrical power is a major issue that is game breaking. If the batteries are dying, that's a problem. There's nothing you can do about it in midair. So Carnado, again, you got to fix that because that's crap. If the batteries are dying, that's crap. But anyway, so a lot of controversy, though. If you guys check out the comment field in my video about it, it's very much so back and forth. But there are people that have already been reporting successfully long flights with it. So we'll have to see what happens. Sim Toolkit Pro is now at version 1.0. The reason why I want to make it a very huge point to announce this product every time that it goes through a major update, it is a fantastic piece of software. I have not used it in a very long time, admittedly. However, I remember when I first got into flight simulation, I was looking for something like this. And even, that was, 5, 6, 7 years ago now. Long time. And I remember this product was very cool back then. Now I have reviewed so many other products. I'm constantly shifting gears that there are some ways that are just easier for me to just go and grab what I need now because it's become habitual. But I cannot stress enough, guys, the awesome functionality of this particular product. So without any further jabber, let's get into it. With the version 1.0, you have some very awesome new features. You can take screenshots directly from your simulator. New flight planning wizard, real-time data from the airlines. Now, it can do far more than that. Now, the other cool thing is that 1.0, by the way, guys, will be compatible with XPlane 12 upon its release. It's gotten a API overhaul to basically what that will do is decrease the integration time between it and third-party sources. So if you were seeing any kind of lag, maybe from SimBrief or from Navigraph, that increased speed on the API will make that connection between it and the other programs a bit faster, obviously increasing the enjoyment of the product. This is just a few of the things that this product can do, but it is absolutely an amazing flight planning tool. It's a very cool, almost career tracking tool as well. It's got a very awesome flight logging system that allows you to go back and see how many logged hours you have, not just in general, but in a particular aircraft as well. You can save your flight plans in it. Again, one of the cool features that I do actually want to check out, as silly as it sounds, but as someone who does what I do, is the screenshots feature in the new flight planner. It's got some very, very cool features in it. This is just the very top. I am barely scraping the iceberg of what this product can do, and it's completely free. If you do want to support the product, which I highly recommend, you do have the ability to join Dan's Patreon site and support him through donations that way. And obviously there are some perks that always come with Patreon, and you'll be able to do things like, for example, get newer content sooner than the rest of us, whatever it may be. Very, very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. It is a very awesome piece of software that does, it's almost your one and done EFB kind of thing. So be sure to check it out. There's absolutely no charge whatsoever to download it, install it, use it, etc. Again, it's a completely free software, so there's no harm in giving it a go around. The one thing I will say is take your time with it. It can be a bit on the cumbersome side. It can be a little bit daunting to figure out how to use because it does so much. So take it one screen at a time, learn what it's doing, and just slowly integrate it into your day-to-day flight. If you try to just grab the whole thing and use it as an all-in-one on the first day, it'll probably be very confusing and probably become a little bit overwhelming. Take your time with it, and its advantages will be mind-blowing, I promise. Finally, the battle between the two monsters is about to come head-to-head. Now, this is another topic of extreme controversy. I can already hear both sides yelling, "No, XPlane 12 doesn't stand a chance. XPlane 12, oh, I can't wait time to come back." I can already hear it. It's going to be a war zone in the comments for this. But here we go. So XPlane 12 is now in the early phases of testing. Once the alpha testing is complete, Laminar will be making this available to the reach of the public. Now, here's the catch, and they are absolutely right about this, so I want to make sure I emphasize it. It has been announced for over a year that the first iteration of XPlane 12 will be an early access version, which means we can absolutely expect that there is going to be bugs, there are going to be issues, there are going to be performance hits, and they are doing this intentionally, much like what DCS World does with a lot of their new aircraft. They'll do early access to find out what are the tweaks in the different configuration and all the different end users, what are some of the issues that we're going to see start coming to life. So with that in mind, XPlane 12, we should be seeing it relatively quote unquote soon, given the fact that it is now gone through the alpha testing. Now, we haven't heard anything more about it as of yet, as far as when we will actually be able to see it in our hands. I'm going to be giving it a shot. There is no harm at this point. I mean, well, okay, so there's $60 of harm, not going to lie. So $60 of harm to test it out. It would be kind of cool if you already own XPlane 11, if you could at least get the alpha version for free, but I get it. It's still a new version. I'm not going to be that big of a shit about it. But I'm still going to try it out. I want to see the comparison. Will it have the scenery that Microsoft Flight Simulator has? No. We know it won't. There isn't any way for them to get a hold of that kind of satellite imagery that I'm aware of at the moment. It would be cool if they had a way to partner with like Google Earth or something like that. But we know that as of this moment, I don't believe that's on the table. It would be a huge undertaking, just like it was for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And, that's just one of those things that, you can't have it the best with them all. However, one of the things that XPlane 11 was absolutely known for, you can create specific sites, obviously going back to that ortho mapping and the download of the scenery imagery. I'm sure that's going to be something that's still available if you want to go that route for specific areas. But the biggest thing that I think that separated XPlane 12 and Microsoft Flight Simulator was the flight models and the weather engine and the performance of the aircraft themselves and the overall difficulty of the simulated events for a very long time. And this is coming from some similars who are far more diehard than I am. And, I'm pretty diehard with it, but let's be real. You guys have all seen the way I wing it from time to time, meaning more often than not, and skip checklists and things like that. I know that I do. Okay. So, it's not that I don't know how, it's just I'm lazy. What do you want? But so coming information from those who are very diehard about it, real world experience kind of players, there's tons of them that still swear by XPlane 11 because the overall experience of flight simulation is more realistic than what we see in Microsoft Flight Simulator due to everything outside of the scenery. And we're still seeing some great things coming from XPlane 12 as far as the scenery. We've seen some awesome screenshots, some great looking weather engines, some great looking airports. So it's really going to be hard to see. And I'm going to give them both the fair stare and compare. I want to see what XPlane 12 is about. I wanted to give it a shot. I will definitely be buying it and reviewing it on the channel. We'll be flying it probably back and forth for a while to give it a really good fair run. And determine which one's really going to be on top. And then understanding that at the release of XPlane 12, it's going to be early access. There's going to be issues. I'm going to keep all of that at the forefront of my mind when I'm comparing the two upon release, because, we all know the nightmares that we've experienced with Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's been a very rough ride. It has become a very good simulator now. It really is. It's starting to really iron out finally. But that's 2 years later, over 2 years later now. It was August of 2020 that it released, guys. And we're just now coming around. I mean, Sim Update 10 was delayed because of issues that it was bringing. So, and which is fine. But, I want to make sure that everyone keeps that in mind as XPlane 12 starts to become more and more reality, that we're going to have to you got to be fair. Got to be fair and give everybody their due credit. They're two different animals. They're two different beasts. They're both very, very popular. And it's going to be very interesting to see which way the community goes and who prefers what and for why, right? So that is it for today's news, guys. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this little series. There was very interesting information, but obviously not a ton of it today, but very interesting news and some very exciting news. I'm super excited to see what comes down the line. As always, folks, please enjoy your weekend. Stay safe and healthy, and I will see you in the next one.